Good morning and welcome to healthylife.tv. I'm going to introduce my co-presenter first.
Oh, I get to speak. I get to introduce first. Well done. Well, thank you. I mean, not well done. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Warren Connolly here, coming to you from a very hot and sunny Hungary.
Okay, in Europe. But
Central Europe.
I think we're not in Europe anymore.
No, you're not officially.
we're an island on alone in the UK. We're alone.
Now the Irish don't feel alone.
Yeah.
although they are part of Europe still. But,
they are. Anyway, my name's Paul Bursey, and welcome to healthylife.tv. Today's subject, it's a very fluid one, actually, but it's easy ways to simplify your life. Now, you can imagine, hopefully, the current situation that's just seems to be coming to some kind of an end, hopefully, may have given you the opportunity to simplify your life, but you can get rid of things and cut out what I call the crap. And we have a lot of that in our lives. And I'm sorry if that offends someone, but that's the best way I can describe it. I found this quote when I was doing my research, and it's, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. And that's from Albert Einstein. And I think you should apply that to everything that you do, because simplifying your life just means making it easy and not putting yourself under pressure. Now, I've been an athlete, and you do have to apply pressure in certain things. And but some people react to urgency. Some people shy away from it. So whenever you're speaking to someone, you have to understand what type of person they are, because the urgency sometimes cripples some people mentally, and other people they excel. Okay, so when we're talking about simplicity in your life, it's going to be what matters to you. So anything we say here may have no relevance whatsoever. So so basically, it's for you to sort out.
Well, it may not have relevance in your life, but it's all relevant at the end of the day. Either way, isn't it? Because it can be an example for you to use.
Yeah,
simple as that.
Absolutely. And I love that quote by Albert Einstein. I think it's brilliant. And
was that definitely a quote by Albert Einstein? Because a lot.
Yeah, I've got it in front of me. I've got it written in front of me.
Because a lot has been. A lot of quotes have apparently come from him, but he only made very few quotes in his life.
I don't care. It's a good quote.
Yeah, it's a good quote. I like it too. Yeah.
I'm trusting Google here.
And we were just talking.
Say nothing about that, right? Sorry.
We were just talking about for the viewers. We were just talking about something that is confusing me right now. Something relating to business that's confusing to me. Always has been. For some reason, my brain just can't get around something in particular. So sometimes you don't want to just ignore it. You want to try to overcome that and face it. But at the same time, it can really, really take away simplification for you. Yeah, because you're trying to figure something out that is confusing to you. You overcomplicate it.
Absolutely.
Very often that's the case. You just because your brain starts to become analytical or too creative in its thinking process, depending on which way you lean, and then it just boils out of proportion, and before you know it, you have this snowball effect, and you completely lose the plot, and then everything digresses from there on in. And so when you don't understand something, either get a 6-year-old to explain it to you.
Yeah, look, because I'm studying nutrition and things like that at the moment, right? And I found this. I listened to this earlier from my coach. She was talking about natural killer cells. Now, natural killer cells basically help you with cancer. Okay, and I'll stop you getting cancer. And it's very. This is how she teaches. It's very, very simple. She said natural killer cells. Smoking decreases them. Exercise increases them. Okay. Now, that is an example of being not being simple. Sorry, that's the wrong word. For simplicity.
Simplification,
Because we all need it to understand things. Now, we know that if you're dealing with someone like a professor of Harvard University, they can go off at tangents and start talking, and we have no idea what they're talking about. Okay, and that's fine for them. Okay, but it's not fine for the other 99% of the population. We need simple things, and the classic example would be when you buy something new, and I've said this before, and you get the instructions to put together this very simple thing that when you read the instructions, you sit there confused.
Yeah.
And actually, sometimes it's just better to get on with it.
Yeah.
And do it, and we do. And then what happens is we get this thing and then we go, I'm going to go make a cup of tea and put it down. I hope it just goes away,
That's why IKEA is so popular, because their instructions are so straightforward.
Yeah, and that's right.
Yeah.
Well, a simple life, it's essential for your peace, your calm, and your contentment. So find for you what works. Now, we talk about this a lot. We talk about nature. We talk about going for a walk and just, enjoying the view, the scenery, the vista, whatever it is you're looking, whether you're in a forest or open meadows and things like that. Now, I know that not everyone has that, and we don't have it everywhere in England, but most of it is like it. We just need to get out and go and find it. But it can be something as simple as that. And now we're great believers in breathing. Now, I know we all have to breathe, okay, but doing breathing exercises, okay, because when sometimes things start to get on top of you. I think I've nearly cracked that, and nothing really phases me too much. There's a few little bits, but not much. But now you're good at this, aren't you, Warren? About breathing exercises.
Yeah. I mean, just before this call, we were talking about the subject I alluded to, and it got me a little frustrated, because I'm thinking I want to overcome this confusion in my head. It's complicating things for me. So I started getting a bit frustrated. But then just before we get onto the call, I start to breathe, and then I just breathe and I breathe. So while Paul's talking, I'm breathing, and that just helps to calm me down. And I do the same. I tell my daughter the same thing. Ever since she was able to understand, she's a fiery little character at the best of times. So when she would get fired up, I would just tell her, breathe, just breathe. Yeah. And I also remember just coaching her when I was leaving one time when I was still working overseas, and when I was on my way to the airport, I said to her, now remember, when you and mom have an argument, or when you get angry, what do you need to do? So she said, breathe. So I said, there we go, just breathe. So yeah, I do breathing exercises with a lot of my clients and stuff like that as well. It's very beneficial.
Yeah. Good morning to Brian Taylor. He's just come on the call.
Thank you,
morning, Brian. He's just had a knee operation, having a clear out, getting rid of debris. So
all the gunk that builds up underneath the
absolutely.
And all that.
Luckily, I haven't got to that stage yet. Hopefully, I never will. But you'll be back refereeing soon, Brian. But anyway, look, I found another little quote. But now you're putting me off saying the quotes, because this is Confucius said this one. Life is simple, but we insist on making it complicated. And I think anyone could say that, really, couldn't they?
Yeah.
I hate complicated. I need people to break things down for me, seriously, and I take it right down to the simplest way of dealing with things, And so if I'm in business mode and I'm looking to find a prospective partner, I might just send a question saying coffee with a question mark, as we've spoken about loads of time before.
Yeah.
And that's the sum total of what I say initially, just to create some interest, and I think that sometimes we go off in these tangents, we go down these rabbit holes. I mean, the classic rabbit hole is not exactly to do with this, but it's Facebook. You know, I'm going to go on Facebook for 5 minutes. You know, and then
Yeah,
you end up going. You go into the see who's poked you. So go into the videos. You know, and then you go. Then you look at the feed and how's John getting on today? You know, and you're going to look at John's, and then you look at your watch and it's like an hour and a half gone. It's like, so I sometimes I have to turn Facebook off. I just have to turn it off. There's too many distractions.
I don't even have it on my browser anymore half the time. When I want to go into Facebook, I open it up on my browser, but otherwise I don't even have it on there. Because as you say, it's too easy. If I feel like I want to be distracted, click on Facebook.
And as I say, spend your time doing what is important to you. Okay, so
Facebook.
Yeah, no, that can be a real pain sometimes. But no, I mean, you know, whether it's achieving something, like I've done some studying this morning, okay, because I set the time aside to do it, or it's just going having a glass of wine. Well, what we do, and we speak about this a lot as well on our other call on successcafe.tv, apart from distractions, it is doing too much, trying to multitask. So if you're having a glass of wine, how about just sitting there and enjoying the glass of wine for 5 or 10 minutes? Right? Why would you want to do anything else? Well, no, I can think of some things, but generally speaking, you know, just enjoy that glass of wine. Right? You can't sit there for hours. Well, you can.
You can if you can afford it. If you don't,
if you can afford to do it, then fine. But just maybe 10 minutes, and you think, oh, that's really nice. I've really enjoyed this 10 minutes, and you know. But you know, look, do things that are important to you. Okay, I know there are nitty gritty things that you need to get into, like going paying bills and going to the dentist and all these types of things. But you know,
the fun stuff.
Sorry,
the fun stuff.
The fun stuff, yeah. I mean, dentist doesn't bother me, but in fact, I've got to go. I've got to go and see the vampires tomorrow morning to give a half litre of blood, and my autoimmune disease of whatever it was, I can't even think what it is. But that's all I have to do 4 times a year. But also, I've got to go and have my teeth cleaned tomorrow.
Okay.
So I haven't had that done for a little while. So I know my day tomorrow. I know my day is based around, and it's and I make it simple. So, you know, even when you're doing things, we talk about doing the ABC or the 1, 2, 3. You know, I base everything on that. Now, for the first time, for a long time, I've actually done to-do lists.
Oh.
Only because I've got so much to do and I want to make sure. So I've upped it from 3 to 6. Doesn't sound very much, but I didn't get the 6 done yesterday.
Okay.
I only got 5 done. So
that's good. That's better. That's far better than nothing. That's
what I mean. So I don't like using to-do lists, but I was I was in the middle of tidying this place, and it got a little bit. There was too much stuff hanging around, and I thought I better write everything down to make sure I do it.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah. So again, do what's important to you, and what would you say to adopting a Zen type approach?
What would I say to adopting a Zen type of approach?
Do you do something like that?
Often. First of all, I'd like to say how to adopt a Zen type of approach, or is just practice patience and be easier on yourself as well. Okay, and just remember that everything that happens in your life is happening for a reason. You don't have to know what the reason is. You don't actually need to know what the reason is. But anything that is happening in your life is there for a reason. And whatever the lesson is will come out somewhere, somehow. You don't need to know what it is. And I think when you take yourself away from that and you step out of the situation yourself, and you're able to remove yourself from a situation, you then are able to practice Zen a lot easier. You know, the mere fact that, like you, Paul, you wrote down a to-do list because you were starting to feel overwhelmed. That, in essence, is a step towards practicing Zen. You know, where you've got a to-do list, and then you can kind of eliminate that or count that down and get through that list. But the benefits of practicing Zen in any level of Zen is is profound in a sense that you just life slowly but surely just becomes a lot easier to handle through the stressful times, through the quiet times. You don't necessarily feel bored. You know, many people struggle with boredom because they can't spend time by themselves. You know, if they are by themselves, they start to find things to do for themselves. You know, they want to, or they need to find somebody else to be with and get on a call with somebody, and then it starts to stress them out because they are on their own in their own company. But when you start to practice Zen within yourself, it becomes much easier spending time by yourself in your own company. And then obviously there's a platitude of, or multitude of health related benefits when you're practicing Zen, or when you're able to get into a Zen state. And getting into a Zen state can be as simple as breathing, just taking breathing exercises, practicing breathing, and not just taking your focus away from anything. And you just practice that throughout the day. Whenever the opportunity arises, whenever it crosses your mind, and just do that frequently throughout the day, and eventually becomes a habitual for you, which is a habit. A habit begins with something that you an idea, and then you believe that idea will work for you, and then you practice that idea, and then the art of taking action in that idea becomes a habit for you. And sometimes it just needs a bit of patience, but it boils down to that. It's just be patient and don't be so hard on yourself, and don't take life so seriously. Life is not as serious as we think it is. We all think that we are at the center of the universe. All we are is part of the universe. And if you take that yourself out of the picture, it's much easier to deal with things like that.
Yeah. I think we talk about simplicity, and I think what goes alongside that is having fun, as you say. I mean, you've got to do what pleases you. If walking through a bed of roses, don't walk on the roses, of course, but I mean, looking at a lot of flowers and that, as simple as that sounds, I'd never believed it. Never believed that I would ever do that. I just couldn't see myself doing it, and I do it now sometimes. Or just stand, and if you've got a really good scenery, bit of scenery near you, just standing like by a gate in a field, looking out over something. Again, I never thought I would do that much. And I'm not talking about standing on top of a mountain. I mean, it should be fantastic for anyone to do that. I'm just talking about in just a local field, or just on a local. We have a lot of public walkways and things like that in the UK. So, But what would you say to harmonising your surrounding environment? Like maybe your home. Harmonising it.
I try the best. I try my best to do that. When you're living by yourself, if you're a bachelor or a spinster, I don't like that word, but if you're a lady living by yourself, or anybody living by themselves, it's much easier to harmonize your environment around you. But when you're part of a family or a bigger unit, it's a lot more difficult. But you can still do it. And again, the benefits around making your living environment practical for you is profound in so many ways. It really is. I don't like to take the effort just to even walk back and forth from one side of my apartment to the other if I don't need to. That's taking energy and time away from me that I could be using somewhere else. So if I try to set up my home, even though I have a family living with me, to be able to compartmentalize my life in many ways, in my home environment. So you can do that. It's just figuring out what works for you. that makes sense for you, that you can do this, that you can harmonize your living space. Even also your car. If you're driving in the car frequently, harmonize your car space, your space in your car, so that it suits you, it fits to you and what you like. I like certain things in certain ways, and most of us do, but we don't practice it because we either just don't have the energy to think about it, or we're constantly trying to compromise for our husband or our wife or our partner or our children. No, you can't afford to compromise. It's about your harmony. It's about your own space. They can adapt to themselves if they want to. If they don't, they don't. But if you are aware of it, harmonize your living space the best that you can, that as long as you're not inconveniencing other people, that make it so that it does make sense for you personally, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It really does simplify your life a lot. I don't get up, for example, like when I get up in the morning to take the dog out for a walk, I have all my clothes already outside the bedroom. So I don't have to sneak around while my wife is sleeping to get my clothes out the cupboard. I do that the night before. It's a simple thing, and my clothes are outside. So when I get up in the morning, I just get up.
I used to do that.
Yeah, I come out.
I used to do it when I was marathon training.
Okay.
I'd have my gear ready, and I actually, to be fair, the 2 years I was marathon training, it was the easiest 2 years I had, as far as, when you wake up and you go, right, and Mel Robbins, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Well, I didn't know that then, but I was doing that. I would get up, get dressed, and go for a run, after you warm up and things like that. But and I never failed, ever. I think it's because when you've got that, your reason for getting up, the reason for going doing it, and you know what the reason is always there in front of you. You don't even have to see it; you just know it. It becomes important, and I just, again, I played that down to simple things. I let someone else do the work, and I bought a book about marathon running, right, from Bruce Tuller, I think it was then. And I found one. He's got loads of different running plans, for different events, and I just picked the one I liked, and I went, that's what I'm doing. And then I adapted it to make it longer.
Okay.
For marathon running as well. So I did the shorter run, and then went through it, and then I added a bit on the end for the next year, and made it doubled it up, and very simple. I didn't have to think about it. Never had to think about it again. I knew what my plan was, and that's it. That's good planning. Is another thing you can do to keep things simple. Once you've done it, it's in place. Now you can tweak it, play around with it a little bit if you want, but generally the goal still remains the same. But the plan you can tweak. But I didn't have to tweak it very much.
And the reason being is because it was important to you, that the outcome was important to you.
Yeah.
So then it's much easier to make a plan for that. When you have an outcome of something that is not really of interest to you, or you just then it's so difficult to make a plan for that. But that's more important to make a plan for that, because your motivation, your internal motivation, your internal drive to accomplish whatever that is not as strong as getting up to go for a run in the morning as a runner, or whatever your goal is that you really want to achieve. But either way, it's important to create that plan, because otherwise you are easily just easily swayed and distracted, and then things become complicated for you. Then it's no longer easy for you, and your environment is not harmonized anymore, because you're moving from here to there, back and forth, in and out. Then you look like a confused, like I say, like a lost fart in a beep storm. You don't know where you're going, and you're back and forth all the time. So, and I find that sometimes when I get irritated with myself in the moment sometimes, where if I'm rushing to get to a client. So if I haven't planned my time, and now I realize, I don't have the time, I've now got to rush and then I'm moving back and forth, rather than I'm here, I do everything now, then I move to the next spot, and then I do everything there, and then I move to the next spot. And this is just within my apartment. I finish whatever I need to get done in the kitchen, and then from the kitchen I move to the hallway where everything is going to be ready, and I pack it all together so that everything is set and it's done. And then I get dressed and I do all my freshening up and all that kind of stuff, so that by the time I get back to the hallway, I'm not having to come back to the kitchen and do everything else again, something else again. It's all ready, it's done for me, and then I pick up my stuff and I go. Whether I'm in a rush or not.
Yeah.
But if I'm in a rush, sometimes I forget that, and then I'm back and forth, and then it just all boils out of proportion, and then that's when you're rushing even more than you should be rushing, or you need to be rushing. So simplify and harmonize and plan.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I picked the main part of the subject as Zen is because Zen is a slang term for being peaceful and relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, those two are the words I like. They're the things that I want to be peaceful and relaxed and content and calm. So, sometimes your life overtakes you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I can imagine, say, a mother, having to, I've got to do this, got to do that, got to do, and there's this big long list of things they've got to do. And they may not be thinking Zen-like. They're just plowing through this big long list of stuff they've got to do. And I get that. But if you can try and inject a little bit of it, it might help you through the day. So
something that I learned from one of my teachers was getting out ahead of it.
Yeah.
So it's about planning just from one segment to the next segment, planning ahead of that, each segment. So you're not having to write down a massive big plan or think of too much stuff in your head. You just think, okay, I need to plan for this so that I can, by the time I get to there, I'm stress free. And then it just becomes easier for you. It's still simple, that life just becomes a little bit smoother for you.
Yeah, I think it's going to be different for everyone. We all face things, but if you can have I suppose, a Zen-like attitude towards things, and chunk the time down into maybe 5 or 10 minute chunks, and because you think about doing a washing, what would you do? What's it really going to take? It takes less than 5 minutes, doesn't it, to all sort out what you want to do? That first bit, and then you do your 5 minutes, sort it out, put what you're going to put in the wash, put it on, forget it for now, and you can come back later and deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
So try and chunk things, which means separating them. Don't think, I've got 20 things to do today. Just think one thing. Okay, and I'll get that out of the way, then I'll do another thing.
Yes.
It's easier for blokes than women. I get that. I understand that with the it's just one of those things. It is probably because we've got less to do.
Women are typically better organizers, invariably. They're better organizers than men are.
Yeah,
planners.
They're like CEOs of their own company, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. That's great. That's a fantastic attribute to have.
Yeah. Well, what we're trying to avoid is stress, anxiety, and frustration. They're the three things we're trying to avoid. So just keep it real simple. So anything else you do, Warren, that you can think of in those respect? In that respect?
Yeah. Feelings is a big thing for me. As well. How do I feel with whatever I'm doing? It's key towards simplification in your life. If you can afford it, if you can influence in any way, do only those things which make you feel good about yourself. For example, let's say training. If training is something that you detest, okay, but that's something that you should be doing or you could be doing for your own longevity and that, then find something that keep exploring, keep finding something until you find something that you feel good doing. It could just be walking, it could be gardening, but it's an activity, okay? So explore and find something that makes you feel good to do that activity because you know it's still important for you. If eating healthy or cooking healthy food is something that you just don't have the patience for, then figure out a way that you can do that for yourself, where maybe you need to, cook one large meal of something, and then you portion that out, and then you have that through the course of the week, and then you do that multiple times. That simplifies things for you. Then you're not constantly having to think about what am I going to cook, what am I going to eat. You can just, you can do that. That's just a way of simplifying. Because I know many people they think of eating healthy foods and think, oh, I'm going to think about what I'm going to cook. So bland, so boring. But if you live with me or my wife, or you learn from me, as my clients do, it's very easy to cook healthy and fun healthy food, interesting healthy food. It's not difficult. Then you can simplify it even further by cooking big portions, and then you just portion that out for yourself, and you put in the deep freezer, you put in the fridge, whatever the case may be. If you don't mind eating, leftover foods, it's a great way to do it, and it simplifies your life, and then it becomes more fun for you. So anything in your life that you are doing, if it's not fun for you, look at how you can exclude that from your life. Really, it's as simple as that, because if you're not feeling good about something, you're not vibrating on a level that's going to attract good feeling. So you're going to naturally feel bad about it, and that's going to have an impact, a knock-on effect for the other things that are going on in your day or your life. So try to exclude that as much as you possibly can. If you're part of a social group that just no longer resonates with you, then step away from that social group. Find another social group that you can resonate better with. But do whatever you need to that feels good for you. Otherwise, I don't do anything that I don't feel good about. If I don't feel good about something, I don't do it. Now, I might try it out, and if it doesn't feel good for me, sorry, not for me.
So what you're saying is, if I don't feel like cleaning the bathroom, then I should pay someone else to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you can't afford to pay somebody to clean the bathroom for you, then figure out a way that you can enjoy it. Put some music on, get the music pumping, clean the bathroom.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem doing it.
Yeah, but I mean, I know many people do.
It's actually, if I've been studying for an hour or an hour and a half or whatever it is, actually, it's a nice little break.
It is.
It's terrible, doesn't it? But
it's quite cathartic, in my opinion.
What?
It's quite cathartic, cleaning up.
Yeah.
As
I said, I've mentioned the stroll in nature, all right? But the other thing is learning to back away. Leave things alone for a little while. If you think you're doing too much, chill out, go and read a book or something, and have a cup of tea, coffee, whatever it is your pleasure. And look, at the end of the day, it is unique to you. We do have traits and things that we all do, all part of us that you could say are all the same, but then your uniqueness will come through, and something that might annoy me that I will leave alone, you might love doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And as you said, if you go back to what you said about, if you enjoy doing it, or it's something that doesn't worry you too much, do it. Okay, but I think one of the biggest keys, and I mentioned it earlier, was the fact about not taking too much on. Okay, at the end of the day, this is about being healthy. Part of being healthy is doing some things you like to do.
Yes.
And not overwhelming and confusing, and too much having confusion take over, because nobody wants that. And yes, there's going to be times it's going to be tough. There's times that you're going to do things you don't really want to do. We get that. Okay, but the majority of the time, do what you want to do. All right? And if you're a mother, then obviously, and I'm not saying anything against blokes who want to do this, obviously, but, then basically, if you've got to look after Kitty, you do it, because that's just probably who you are, and I did miss a lot of that because if I was in shift work and doing it as a police officer, and I spent loads of hours at work and things like that. So, sometimes you regret some of that type of stuff, but yeah, do what you want, do what pleases you, and I think that.
I wouldn't say do what you want, but do what.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. I mean, I'm not saying go down the pub for 6 hours. I don't mean that. Unless you really want to,
Yeah, if you don't, and also another important thing here, I think, is before it becomes too confusing for the listeners, is sometimes our life is complicated or our life is too stressed because we allow it to be because we want to entertain and appease our ego.
Mm-hmm.
And some what was it, an adage or something, a proverb or something I heard many years ago was, it's better to be happy than to be right. And this is not just for marriages or partnerships, it's for anything in life. You don't have to have everything, it doesn't have to be perfect. It never will be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to know everything because we know everything in any case, we just don't always remember it. And then on top of that, you don't have to be right. The way I look at it is everything is interesting. If you look at it as everything is interesting, it just simplifies things for you, because my point of view is not going to be the same as Paul's point of view or anyone else's point of view for that matter all the time. So if their point of view is different to mine, so what?
Mm-hmm.
Does it threaten my life? No. Then so what? Have a beer together or have a drink, have a cup of coffee together, whatever, have a chat. But just don't allow yourself to be overridden by your ego and your ego's desire to be right all the time, because that often, I find, complicates people's lives. It just adds so much stress, undue stress to their lives. It's so unnecessary. It really is. So just let it be. If you know you're right in your heart of hearts, let it be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself.
Be kind to yourself. Precisely. Yeah.
If anything happens that's a little bit stressful, it's going to go away. It will go away. If not, get some help, talk to someone, write it down in your journal.
Yeah.
All these types of things will help, and even create a list of things you don't like to do. If that floats your boat, and just say, look, these are the things I'm not going to do. Or, on the other hand, you could write down a list of things only the things I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Right? So, but organisations are part of it. How you organise, not how I would organise, because we're all different. Mm-hmm. How you organise things. If you need to tweak that, then tweak it. I don't care who you are, what you've got on your plate, you can deal with it. Okay? You're strong enough. Human beings are top of the chain as far as making intelligent decisions. Just, make sure you join them.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, we are. Whether people do it or not is another matter. But we are. We're. Bear in mind. We're not animals. Well, I know we can act animals sometimes, but we're not animals. We are made to be intelligent. So let's make some intelligent decisions for us. And have a good life and do what you want to do. And I think it's very, very important. This is a bit. I played this down today for obvious reasons. You can't hit home with a lot of things all the time, and I don't want it to be very much for people to listen to this and say, "I get where you're coming from, but and I know what I want, and I've not exactly been doing it, but I'm going to work on it, to make it a little bit easier." And of course, then the stress comes down a bit. We all need a little bit of stress in our lives, but we don't need some of the stress that we have been getting.
Stress is good sometimes to keep us awake and alive, right?
Yeah, you need a little bit, but you don't need heaps and heaps of it. No. So so be ruthless with your time, and but make sure you enjoy it. That's the main thing. Yeah, certainly, because we all need certainty. And we all need uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Certainty is what you've got to do every day. All right. The uncertainty is know whether hubby's going to bring a bunch of flowers home. You know, I'll keep it at that. That's all I'll say for the uncertainty. All right.
Yeah.
And we have to work on both those. So
yeah, there's this is a world or a reality of the yin and the yang, that dichotomy, the certainty, the uncertainty. So accept it.
Yeah. You need both.
Yeah, we do.
Unfortunately, most of it's certainty. You can't.
Well, yeah,
most of it is, and I think we need to up the uncertainty a bit. And when I'm talking about spontaneity and things like that, that's the uncertain part of it. And it's excitement. Certainty sometimes isn't exciting, but uncertainty can be.
If you look at like a football team or a rugby team, for example, and you have players on those teams, that the majority of those players you'll probably find will appreciate the certainty, whereas you have those one or two players that thrive off that uncertainty in a game.
You never know what you're going to get.
You never know what you're going to get from them.
Yeah.
They are geniuses, and those people, when you look at them in life, they are the clowns, the jesters, that kind of stuff. They don't take life too seriously, and things just seem to always kind of pan out nicely for them. Whereas the other ones in the team, they are the more deep thinkers, the thoughtful guys and girls, whatever, and their character base is slightly different, and we need that in our lives. We need both of those in our lives. If you have a team that doesn't have any of those uncertain players, those genius sparks in your team, then you're going to have a very predictable team. You're not going to have a team that's going to, so you need that, and it's important.
Well, I've got two last things to say. First, the second to last thing is another quote, and that's simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Okay. And that comes from Claire Booth Luce. So, and the last thing is, we as people are after the real deal, okay, when it comes to simplicity. And I found this written in a book, and it said, identify what's most important to you, number one. And number two, eliminate everything else. Okay. Press the daily reset button regularly. All right. So with that, unless you've got anything else you want to say, Warren?
I said my piece, I think.
Identify what's most important. Get rid of the rest. So with that, have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Stay healthy. If you've got any specific health questions, let us know what they are, and we'll deal with them, and we'll see how we go. Have a great weekend. See you all next week.
We look forward to reading your feedback.
Absolutely.
Comments, yeah.
All right. See you later.
Have
Cheers.
a beautiful weekend, everybody.